Once upon a time, there was a golden kingdom, and the kingdom had no end. It was complete, and everyone in the kingdom was wealthy, healthy, integrated, wise, right? There was perfection, there was abundance, there was peace, and the kingdom's boundaries stretched as far as one could go, right? One could not reach the edge of the kingdom. So everything was well, right? And then we were born, and we were born into a reality looking back at the kingdom. We were born into an I that identified, that held on tightly to the patterns, the inherited patterns of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being. We held on to the pattern as the way to relate, as the way to look back, to look out at the kingdom we were once a part of. But nothing quite fit in the kingdom, looking out through the eye. It started with distinctions. It all begins with the one. It begins with the circle. It begins with the sphere, with the undifferentiated ecology that we are all a part. It begins with the kingdom. But in order to look from the outside in, or to look from the inside out, we have to break the one into pieces. We have to take the undifferentiated whole and carve it up into language, right? Before consciousness, on the foundation of language, the kingdom is one. There is no distinction, right? You see, we look out at the kingdom, and we call this yellow, and we call that red through the lens of language. We call this vertical, we call this horizontal, because we've cut up the one into distinctions, into words. Now, could this exist without this? Could you have vertical without horizontal? More specifically, since we've carved the world, the kingdom, up into descriptive nouns, could this tree exist without the soil? Could it stand upright without its roots in the soil? So, obviously not, right? But to the mind, to the eye, looking out through the identity, the pattern of thinking created by language, and just to see where we're going there, you cannot create a single thought without words. Meaning your ability to think is resting on your ability to cut the one into pieces and give each piece a word. And you cannot cut the one into pieces without language, right? In other words, our entire framework of consciousness which is the mechanism through which we look at the kingdom through a lens, rests on the foundation of language. The world is not cut into pieces. The kingdom remains whole. And yet, it is inconceivable, it is impossible for a single human being, for you, to think a single thought without words which have been assigned to the pieces the words create. Right? When we say hand, we create a piece of the body. It's called this piece. A hand has 5 fingers, or 4 fingers and a thumb, right? A hand is at the end of an arm. So we say. But if this tree cannot exist without a horizontal plane, if one dimension cannot exist without the other dimension, if the tree cannot exist without soil, if the hand cannot exist without the body, if the body cannot exist without the lineage, if the lineage cannot exist without the planet, if the species cannot exist without the species they evolved out of, right? Whether it's chimpanzees or some form of monkey, if the human species cannot exist without the other species, if we cannot breathe without the shit of trees, right? Because we release energy in a form that gives life to trees, and trees release energy that give life to us. It doesn't sound very distinct. The illusion of separation doesn't sound very real. If a finger cannot exist without a hand, and a hand cannot exist without the body, then what is the conscious mind? What is the I doing by carving the kingdom up into pieces? And how can we find the kingdom? How can we go home? How can we restore the integrity of the interconnected ecology when we are identifying, when our I is identifying with a pattern of thinking that rests upon the foundation of language, which rests upon the delusion that the one can be cut into pieces, that cannot exist without each other. Right? That's the definition of an ecology. If the piece cannot exist without the whole, is it a piece? Why isn't it one? Right? And it isn't one because we choose to look through the lens of distinct patterns that are assigned symbols that are created by words, language. And then, in order to conglomerate as individuals in a cult, in a culture, we create memes, we create habits of organizing words in clusters called paradigms, called ideas, that spread virally throughout the population of the cult, of the culture. The cult is that which unquestioningly copies that which is around it. That's self-referential. We do this because we do it. And we do it because we did it. And we did it because that was the thing to do. And that's why we do it. And then the ego, the I, identifies with that pattern and says, I am that which does this, that which thinks this, and then does this as a result of thought. We do this because that's the thing to do. And I am this because I do this. And I do this because I think this. And I feel this because I think this. And I do this because I feel this. And that's who we are, right? Now, the undifferentiated whole can be cut into two in an infinite number of ways. You can cut the one into two in an infinite number of ways. It just depends on the scale, right? As long as we keep going smaller and smaller, millimeters, right? 1,000th of a millimeter, 1,000th of one of those, 1,000th of one of those. We can keep going smaller, changing the angle of the cut by smaller and smaller amounts, and we can get an infinite slice into duality. Because as soon as we cut the one into two, we now have a polarity. And once you cut the one into two, and we call one black and one white, you now have an infinite number of distinctions between the polarity. There are infinite shades of gray. You can divide the spectrum, the gray scale, into 3 shades of gray, into 4, into 200, into 200 million, into 200 trillion, into 200 Googles, right? We can divide the two infinitely. And so we have infinite language. And so we can cut the one into an infinite number of pieces that aren't real. Right? The idea of a piece isn't real, because the piece isn't a piece. The piece cannot be a piece because it is interconnected with every other piece, which means it's not a piece. It's one with the kingdom, with the infinite whole. Now, we live in the poverty of the delusion of pieces, or we live in the abundance of an infinite number of pieces that we don't know how to restore to the one. We could say that having refracted our consciousness into the lens of the cult in which we are born, dividing the one into a certain number of pieces, right? So, for example, we divide the one mathematically into a 10-point number system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 11, 12, 13. We divide the one into a 10-point number system. Why not 13? Why not a 27-point number system? Why not a computer number system? See, computers divide into a 2-point number system. 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, right? They do a 2-point number system. And time, we've divided it into 12. 12 hours in a day. What does that mean? It just means we had a circle called reality. We had a circle called time. And we took the circle and we cut it into 12 pieces. That's all it means. Noon, 1, 2, 3. So the time circle got cut into 12 pieces. The mathematical circle got cut into 10 pieces. Why? And we've cut the year into 365 days, and we've cut the space into 365 degrees. But why not 10 trillion degrees? Or double 365, because there is a correlation. There is a correlation between 365 and our relationship with the sun. And we've cut the month into relationships with the moon. But why not the relationship with Pluto or Alpha Centauri, right? How we cut the one into pieces in various different ways, most of us have never thought about. What would be the implications on mathematics if instead of a deci or 10-based number system, we had a 27-based number system? We just have to assign another 17 symbols, and now we repeat at 27, and multiplication comes out differently. Certainly sounds different because it has different words, right? Certain words in mathematics would disappear. Equations would change. And yet we call the answer of those equations facts, things that should not be questioned. A fact is that which should not be questioned. We say that it's a fact, that it's 1 p.m. It wouldn't be 1 p.m. if we cut time into 27 pieces a day, right? Suddenly it would be, whatever we called 1 p.m. would be a different time in relation to the sun. This is our descent into madness, into imperfection, into awareness, into consciousness, into language, and the illusion of separation. Right? And our I has identified, has held on tight to the pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being. And it begins with thought. Because if I think I have been wronged, I feel bad. These are just words, but I feel something different if I believe that thought. If I organize the thoughts, I have been wronged, I think wrong. Well, what is wrong? Well, wrong is something that shouldn't be. I am something that shouldn't be, right? I have been wronged. It shouldn't have happened, but it did happen, but it shouldn't, right? I have to do something to stop it happening again, to seek justice. What is justice? There's some kind of symmetry in the idea, right? You see the scales of justice. You put a hole in my tire, and so now I get to put a hole in your tire. You, an eye for an eye, right? You ruin my eye, so I get to ruin your eye. That's justice. So now you have two partially blind people. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Right? You stole my thing, so I had to spend a year in court in order to get justice. Is that better off? And then all these juries had to take time out of their lives, right? Because you did that, we all had to ruin our lives some more in order to restore justice. Is justice a good thing? And are we all better off because we all took all this time and spent all this money on attorneys? Or are we all worse off? So if we're all worse off because justice has been served, maybe a little bit more injustice would be preferable. But we can't have that because we are a cult of law. We have to serve the law. We have to follow the law. Well, why doesn't the law follow us? Right? Why doesn't the law serve us? Right? Well, they were made by these people to serve these people, and that doesn't happen to serve you at the moment. But it's a good thing. Why is it a good thing that I spent $100,000 and a year of my time in order to get justice? I could have spent $100,000 planting 100,000 trees in a planet that needs trees. I could have, but then I wouldn't have had justice, and that's a good thing. I wouldn't have had it. And justice is a good thing, and I know it's a good thing because I identifies, I said so. I am the pattern of thinking that justice is a good thing. How is it a good thing that I spent $100,000? Well, it just is. It's the right thing. It's the right thing. It's a good thing. It's the right thing. Why do we want right things? Right? Why do we want right things that don't work? Well, they're supposed to work, right? We just have to fix the criminal justice system, and then it will be a good thing. But in the meantime, don't give up on it. Do it, even though it may be inconvenient to spend $100,000 and a year of your life to get back the stereo, the Porsche, the whatever. It may be a difficult thing, right? But it's the right thing to do, right? And then we maybe spend a few more of your lives, a few more years, a few more 365 somethings to fix the criminal system so that the right thing will be the right thing. Because right now it's not the right thing because it's broken, but it could be the right thing. We descend into madness. We descend into imperfection. We descend into the memes of our cult, right? Because if you just said to an average person, you have been wronged, okay, and you have to do something about that. Why do I have to do something about that? Because you've been wronged. You have to do something about it. What do I have to do? Well, you have to pay these people lots of money. Because I've been wronged, I have to pay them lots of money. Yes, you have to pay them lots of money. And then they, if they are successful, will take up large portions of your time. And large portions of other people's time, right? Because it's the privilege of the public to serve on your jury. Large portions of time. And everyone else's time to see that justice has been served. Right? You have to do that. And what if they don't have any money to pay it back? Or, they spent, they sold the Porsche and bought this with it, or they flee the country. Well, that happens. But it's the right thing to do, right? 20, 30 people all have to be bound up around this for some time, and it's the right thing to do. And then what happens if, well, they have to go to prison? And who pays for that? Well, you do with your taxes. You have to pay even more money, $100,000 a year, to lock them up humanely, right? We can't lock them up inhumanely. Humanely, we lock them up. We hire other people to stand up and down, watching them, make sure they're still locked up humanely. And they can't get out. So they stole my $10,000 car. We spent $100,000 and a year to prosecute them. And because they didn't have any money, the public paid $300,000 to get justice for the $10,000 car, plus 30 people, court stenographers, judges, juries, parking attendants at the court. 30 people, all organized their entire life to restore justice on a $10,000 car. Right? That's what you've got to do, because it's the right thing to do, because it's what we do, it's who we are. It's the only thing to do. Justice is a good thing, and this is how you get justice, humanely. Just do it. It's not a perfect system, but it's the best one we have. It may cause all kinds of suffering. It may cause all kinds of division. It may be corrupt. But it's who we are. It's what we do. Now, there have been 10,000 systems, 10,000 cults, 10,000 languages in human history. According to these people we call anthropologists. They are the people who officially study people. Everyone else who studies people does so unofficially. Anthropologists do it officially. And there's all the other unofficial anthropologists, like you and me, having to study people. But according to the official studiers of people, there have been 10,000 cults, 10,000 languages. You see, in some of them, they didn't like square, right? So they broke the one into triangles, right? That wasn't sophisticated enough, so they did 2 triangles, right? They assigned the words this way, they assigned the words that way. That wasn't good enough for some other people, right? They broke the 1 into 5. And then increments of that, right? That's only half of 10, so we can double 5 and we'll get 10. And let's just use that as the number system. But every one of these distinctions is an illusion. And every one of them is imperfect, is inefficient. Look at this system here, and it's the same with every single system that ever has been created and that ever will be created, relative to the one, relative to the undifferentiated ecology that transcends thought, that transcends the language we use to cut the one into pieces. So if you want to get here using this particular system, you see it, if you want to get here, you have to go up here, and you're here. You can't just go there. That's not the system, right? It's like in the Safeway parking lot. You see the entrance to the store, and you could just walk over to it, but there's all these concrete areas with plantings. So you can't just walk to where you want to go. There's a system. And every system is inefficient. It's imperfect. Because the system is based on the language of numbers, which are illusions, which aren't real, and on the language of words, which are illusions, which aren't real. And so we set off, right? Here, we set off here. We have to go up here. Then we have to go down here. Then we get over here. Wouldn't it be a lot easier? No. You have to get an appointment with their agent. But they're sitting right over there. No, you get an appointment with their agent. You convince the agent that you should be talked to. The agent will contact the person. And if the person is interested, then the agent will reach out to you, and then you will talk to them. But they're sitting right over there. Yes, it's not the way it's done. It's not the way it's done. And you could just walk over to the entrance of Safeway, but no, you have to walk to the back of your car, threading through all the parking cars to walk up this way. Then you have to walk this way, and then you go into the entrance, because that's the way it's done. Because that solves a problem. It solves a problem, but it creates a new problem. Well, what problem does it solve? Well, they don't want people just wandering up. They don't know who they are. They're trying to eat their dinner, and so it solves their problem, but it creates a problem for you. Well, who gets to, who gets to be the one deciding the problem? Well, the people up in the power structure, right? And we have a pyramidal power structure, right? So there's a top of the power structure, but there has to be a bottom, right? And up here, they do. The least number of people decide things for the most number of people. Why? Just what we do in our cult. It's just what we do, right? And so every system has a flaw. But just as importantly, every system is incomplete. If we look at this 5-pointed system, it's got this area covered nicely, and it seems to be referencing this area of the possibility field, and this area, and this area. What about this area, right? It never seems to get covered in this system, or this area. You see, anytime you have a system, anytime you have a structure, you have a boundary. And anytime you have a boundary, you have things that get left outside the boundary. You build a city, you build the city wall, and then there are those who are outside the city walls. Right? Now, those inside the city walls are protected by the city walls. But those outside the city walls are vulnerable because they cannot get to the city, right? The city gates will be closed at nightfall. All those inside the system will be protected by what? By the system. But if you cannot reach the city gates by nightfall, you may be attacked by wolves, you may be attacked by bandits, and you cannot get in because that which is protecting the other people, the people in the city, is endangering your life, the one out of the city. Help! Help! I hear wolves coming. Help! Let us into the city. We're scared out here. No, the law, the pattern, that's what a law is. It's a pattern, right? Democratically chosen patterns are patterns that a majority of people talk about. Dictatorial patterns are patterns that a minority of people talk about. This is the pattern. The Lord of the city has said so. The people have spoken. So the pattern may have been established by unanimous consent or by decree. Everyone will follow this pattern, or I will kill them with my military allies, right? You all agreed to be my military allies. What's a military ally? Well, I will pay you money and do this and do that, and you will do whatever I tell. If I say kill all those people over there, you'll go and kill them. If not, you don't get any rations. You want to be my military ally? Okay. Here's your rations. Now, I've issued this decree. Now, if anyone doesn't do what I said so, right? Well, I said do this. And if anyone doesn't do it, kill them. Torture them. You willing to do that? You willing to join my military something? Be my military allies? You want to do that? Okay, well, I've said. Now go kill them. Well, what if we die? Well, we'll give you a nice funeral. Okay, off we go. We are the military allies. Now, if it was by consensus, right, rather than by decree, well, you have another problem, because the majority is always wrong, right? At any given point in the unfoldment of reality, there are a variety of things that can be done, and everything that will be done has a relationship with paradigms and thoughts. And a thought is a technology. And the majority is always wrong. Whatever the majority thinks is inferior in intelligence to what a small minority thinks. But not just any small minority. You have a small minority of exceptional competence. Now, you cannot have a group with exceptional competence that isn't small, right? It's not exceptional. It's not the exception if everyone's doing it, right? So someone with exceptional intelligence has got to be smaller than the majority, or they're not an exception. We are a Christian nation, except for these groups of people. Now, well, if the groups of people are 10 times bigger than the Christian nation, right, if whatever it is, the other group, the other cult, the Muslims, if the spiritualists, if the witches, if the paganists, if they're 95% of the population and the Christians are 5%, then we say we're a pagan nation, except for these 5% Christians. We're a Christian nation, except for this 5% pagan. We all agree about this, except there's this small minority that thinks this, right? Well, they are the exception. They are the exceptional ones. And if we look at reality through the lens of science and bits and statistics, we see that the majority is always doing something, and then a small minority has not caught up to the majority, and then a small minority are doing something new, right? They're doing something new that is better than the majority, that the majority will catch up to later, right? Now they have touch screens in this lab, but nobody has one. Now the richest people and certain companies and schools have touch screens, but nobody else has them. It's still a small minority. Now everyone has touch screens on their phones, right? And the minority are doing something better than touch screens. The minority are entering virtual 3D worlds that are better than touchscreens. And the minority of those are seeking to control them with thoughts. But the slightly bigger minority are trying to control them with eye movements or voices. And the majority is touching things on a separate screen. Right? The exceptional one is always the minority. They could be exceptionally bad or exceptionally good, exceptionally poor or exceptionally wealthy, exceptionally dumb or exceptionally smart, right? The exceptions are the minorities. So the minorities have the best of it. They have the best ideas and the worst ideas. The rest have average ideas. The best, the worst, average, right? The majority is average. And you don't have to think a lot to be part of a majority. You just copy what other people are thinking. And you copy what they're feeling in response to those thoughts. You copy what they're doing in response to those thoughts and feelings. And you now belong. To what? To the pattern, to the identity. You are one of us. What's that? Well, you think like this, you feel like this, you speak like this, you do like this, and you look like that, right? You fit in wonderfully, wonderfully. You're one of us, right? But the exceptions, they're not one of us. The exceptions, the exceptional ones, they are not one of us. They are weird, right? Don't go outside the city gates. Don't leave the pattern. We get up in the morning and we drink coffee. Now, why don't we get up in the morning and drink yahe, mate, fresh squeezed? No. This is our pattern. We get up in the morning, we drink coffee. We drive to work, putting on our clothes, texting important things. We arrive in the office, we do this and this and this. We go for a quick bite, we do this, then we go home. That's the pattern. Oh, look at all these people, all going the same time, all going there, all going there, all going there, and then all going there. Hello, you're also going to work? Yes. At the same time? Yes. We're all part of it, right? Part of the pattern. And every cult lies to its people. Every cult, every culture says, this is the way things are done. Why? For your own good. That's the lie. For your own good. But I don't like being stuck in traffic. It seems like if I could go to work at noon and come back at midnight, it seems to me I would avoid all this traffic. Yes, but it's not how things are done. Why? For your own good. But I thought we just established that if I went in at noon and came home at midnight, I would get more done. The company would make more money. Yes, but we can't have everyone breaking the pattern. Why? It wouldn't be a pattern. And chaos. How would we coordinate? You're doing this, they're doing this. I want to call you. You're only available at 11 p.m. They're available until 5. How are you going to call them from 11? They don't get together, right? It's not working. You've got to do this. It just seems like such a waste. 2 hours of traffic every single day. Yes, it's the price we pay for progress. Maybe we could have less progress. No, we can't have that. We are a progressive culture. That's who we are. We progress. From less traffic to more traffic. From slim and healthy to obese and sluggish. From less diabetes to more diabetes. Maybe we could use a little bit less progression. No. We can't do that. We're progressives. We believe in progress. Right? We just need to speed it up. Have more sugar delivered faster. That's progress. Right? It used to be we had to walk. And then we had to ride on horses, get our sugary fix, right? And by the time we got back to the house, we had burned off all those calories. But it was so inefficient. Oh, so inefficient. We have to make progress. We have to make it more efficient, right? So then we had bicycles, more efficient than galloping along on horses, right? We had cars. We made the cars faster and faster. Now we just get in the car, race to the supermarket, buy sugar, race back, and sit on the couch without moving, right? We used to have to walk from the thing to this, but now we have a garage, so there's less steps. We can just drive in the garage and straight in the living room and sit down. Right? We used to have to wait until lunch, but why wait, right? We have to be more efficient. We have to make progress. And so now you just press a button on this thing, and sugar will arrive. Ding, ding, ding. Well, your delivery will arrive at 6 p.m. Oh, I don't even have to walk out to my car. This is getting better and better. We're making progress. We are making progress as we get bigger, fatter, with more diabetes, more sluggish. We are getting faster and faster and faster. Say the cancers in our body. There's food here and there's food there, and why follow that structure, right? We can do it faster this way. There's the body's idea of design, and you have to do this and this and this and this. You can just feed on this stuff. And the cancer can grow and grow and grow without following any design, right? Just replicating itself more and more. It's very progressive. We don't like progressive cancers. We like regressing cancers, right? Or we like our treatment to progress. We want progressive treatment, but but not progressive cancers. But the reality remains that when you're in a cult, there's all these bits that don't get touched on. You went to there, you went 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 there. You did that for 10, 20, 30 years, right? I drove to work, I did this, I put in my time, I then did that, right? But this area never got explored. Learning to think. Didn't seem too important, right? The boss didn't like it when I thought. He wanted me to do what he told me to do. And so I did what I was told to do. Right? My partner didn't want me to think. They wanted me to be normal. Just wear clothes like other people. Fit into the pattern. I don't want to hear about that. Just do that, take out the garbage, follow the pattern, right? Never really came up, learning how to think, learning how to design life. Where would you do that, right? The cult has it all figured out. So this bit doesn't get developed. What about this bit, right? Learning about real history from other people's point of view. These people saw history like this, and this people saw history like this. We don't need that. We have our version of history. In our version, we came from place to place, and the world was a better place. Better at what? Well, better at our way of doing things, right? Our food is better than their food, and we brought better food. Our laws are better than their laws. We brought better laws, right? We brought progress. Well, what about this and that? Don't get lost in the weeds. Don't get lost in facts. Don't get lost in details. We just brought what we brought. Just go do something. Don't you have chores to do? Now, it doesn't matter what the pattern is. We can delete this, and delete all the way stations, and now we're back to the one. We can do a pattern like this. Slightly more complex pattern. If you're going all in one direction, it seems, at least if you want to go from here or from here up to here, you can just go there. The pattern will allow it. It's a direct pattern. But this pattern does not allow you to get over here very efficiently. Not too bad. You have to go up here, over here, and go here. But you just want to get there, right? It's like dating. I see that person. I want to have sex with them. That would be easy. You just say, oh, I'd love to have sex with you. And if they felt the same way, they say, great, wonderful, let's do it. But no, this is much too direct. No, you have to wait around here at their coffee shop. You have to pretend to like things that they like, then you have to do this. And that's just getting started. Then we have to go over here, then over here, and then do you think, are you somewhat interested maybe in having sex someday? Well, maybe someday. Keep it up. Next few years, we can just go around and meet the parents and this and this. And then it's like, I think I'll just have sex with somebody else, right? It's just so indirect, right? But it's the system. It's the cult. You can't just walk straight to Safeway's entrance. You can't just walk up to someone and say, "Wow, I'm really impressed with your color combinations." Oh, thank you. Wow. Can I suck on your breast? I just had this memory, of being 2 years old, and it was so comforting. And I was just, no. That's not how we do things. No. That's not what we do around here. We do this, then we do that, then we do this, then we do that. And we never, ever say what we mean. Do what we're spontaneously thinking. No. We follow the system. There's a system for that. Right? Oh, you're into kink. No, I'm just had this thought. Well, you're into this and you're into that. Well, what does that mean? Well, you go to a dungeon. I don't want to go to a dungeon. I just wanted to feel that taste of milk just at that moment, right? Not. I don't want to become a dungeon master. No, just was a thought. Well, it cannot be done. You can become a dungeon master. You can make YouTube videos on various forms of this, and you can become a respected member of the kink cult, where we do unusual things. They do usual things, and we do unusual things. Well, that's too vanilla for us. You can't do that around here. No, we're here to ropes are very popular. You want to be tied up? Oh, no, you just wanted a feeling of maternal comfort. No, it can't be done. That's uncivilized, right? So every cult has its little pattern, and no matter which pattern it is, it's not perfect for something, right? Which means that every system that's ever been created for dividing the one into pieces has a remainder. It has this bit that doesn't go away. It has this problem. Right? Communism will take all the resources and do this, has a problem. Usually the people at the top controlling the grain houses give more to themselves. It's a problem. Well, capitalism, the free markets, everyone does this and that, it also has a bit of a problem, right? Usually the people at the top controlling the system give the best jobs and the best things to themselves and the worst jobs to the people who usually need help the most, right? These are migrants. They need lots of help, so we can exploit that and get lower wages. It's not we can help them, right? They need lots of help. Let's help them. No, that doesn't sound very capitalistic. You have to seize the moment. You're desperate to feed your family? You'll work for $5 an hour? How about you? Anyone work for $4? And 4, okay, 4, we got 4. How about 3? Anyone care enough about your family to work $3 an hour? $2.50? $1? You've got the job. All of the rest of you can go starve because I just wanted to use the opportunity that your desperate need for help presented to make the capital markets more efficient. And, I've succeeded. $1 an hour. They're going to love it at the club, right? And you can all just starve over there. Then let's go. And now I've got more money to buy more expensive whiskey, right? To buy a more expensive cigar, to drive up and show what a good capitalist am I. It's a wonderful thing. I'm a great capitalist. I lowered my expenses. I bowed down. Oh, money, let me serve you. I am a capitalist. I am that. So I must manage capital. Don't you understand? That's who I am. Right? That's my pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being. I am a capitalist. I have done the good thing that capitalists do, lowered expenses. It's wonderful, right? It's a system. Lower expenses, increase productivity, seize the moment, think creatively outside the box, right? Make more things, then hire better advertisers to sell them, right? That's who I am. I am that, right? But there is probably some lingering sense of humanity somewhere in there that's saying, Well, I'm a Christian. I'm a capitalist. I'm a Christian. I'm a capitalist. I've got schizophrenia, right? This identity says, give to the needy. The capitalist principle says, lower wages, right? Give to the needy, lower wages. I'm a Christian. I'm a capitalist. I'm a Christian. I'm a capitalist. They don't seem to fit very well. So I will be a Christian when that seems to benefit my well-being and comfort and conserve energy, right? If I'm making a sale with a Christian, we're both Christians, and that seemed to speed up the sale, well, that's a good thing. And then I'll be a capitalist when being a Christian would be really hard, like feed the needy or something like that. I have to go in the kitchen then, get off my couch, and stop watching my show. I have to cook things and feed the needy. So much work, right? I can just get the same adrenaline hit by clicking next and change channel, like 500 clicks, dopamine, adrenaline, amazing, right? Spend more of that money from buying more channels, more subscriptions to more dopamine delivery devices. Bing and bing and bing. And when I get a little bit numb from all that sugar and stuff, then pornography is a little bit stronger dopamine delivery device, right? Maybe if I could get three people on a horse jumping over a cliff, I probably get a little bit more dopamine there. Oh my goodness, right? I'm beginning to lose that. What do we have to do? What do we have to do to get dopamine more efficiently delivered? I just press a button and it's there. Oh my goodness. I didn't even have to wait for the sugar. Just ping, ping. Oh, 3 people on a horse. Amazing. What about dung? Maybe there are dung eaters, people that have sex in dung. Very interesting. Good research after dung eaters. My goodness. Who knew? Who knew? Progress, right? You just have to scour the globe for dung-eating sex activities. Not anymore. It's more efficient, right? My goodness. My goodness. Dung-eating sex with curly black hair. Let's see. Let's find out, right? Progress is being made. Activities are being facilitated to feed the global market, dopamine, adrenaline, right? It's progress, but it's also regression, right? There used to be a time when we walked, when we got things done, when we split wood, when we didn't have to drive to the gym to get fit because we drove to the gym, right? If we ran to the gym, we could just turn around and come home again, right? But there used to be a time when we did that, but now we have to drive to the gym and do this and watch our dopamine devices and do this and very efficiently, and then, but that's progress, right? There used to be a time when that was planted with trees. The gym was. And when all the screens were not consuming coal to provide up-to-date dopamine delivery devices so that you could stand doing absolutely nothing, running around on a treadmill. There used to be a time, right, when those were trees. But we've made progress. We've cut those trees down. We've built a gym with materials we got from other areas that used to be covered in trees, right? And now we need air purifiers because all that tree deforestation and all those coal burning things and all the car killing 4 million people a year, right? But that's progress, right? We've progressed Used to kill this number of people a year. Now, 4 million a year. And we have to progress even more. We have to do more, buy more, do this, because that's the way it does. Now, my observation, and we'll maybe move this slightly over to here. My observation is that no matter which system you use, and they're not going to be very sophisticated systems to begin with because we lose count. We don't like 200 million bit systems. What's the secret to health, wealth, and happiness? Well, I do 1,000 things different than you do. Well, what's the one thing? What's the one thing that just catapults your life, that makes you a winner and me a loser, that I could do? What's the one thing? Oh, you have to buy my course. That's the one thing. The one thing, if you want to do this, you buy my course where I describe exactly. That's the only thing you have to do. Buy the course, just delivery. Now you have to listen to it. 6 hours? 6 hours of stuff? He did this, then did that. Let's just get to the point, right? The point, the one thing. Where was it? Where's the one thing? Oh, it seems like he did this. Well, you're going to do it? No, I find it interesting. See, he said this, but this other course, I bought that course too. This other course said that, they did that. So which is it? Maybe I could listen to a debate now. Let's listen to, let's listen to the debate, right? Sam Harris, atheist, Jordan Peterson. I want the real point, right? Let's get to the point. Who's the winner of that debate, right? So-and-so thinks this, so-and-so thinks that. I watch this and watch that. It makes sense, but I want to get to the point, right? The one thing, right? So we don't like simple, we don't like complex things. Here's 1,000 things that I've done over the last 5 years that have made my life 50% more profitable than your life. 1,000 things? In between watching all that television and eating all that food? When did he have time for all those thousands of things? I want the one thing, right? What's the one thing that you would attribute your success to? That's what everyone wants to know. Well, I have a positive attitude. Oh, good to know. Thank you. So how do you do that? Well, we don't have time for that. We're on to the next person. What's the one thing? What's the one thing? Well, I wouldn't say there is one thing. Okay, that's all we have time for. What's the next person? What would you attribute to your success? Well, you have a crazy media. You're always looking for something new. Apparently, it's me right now. That's why everything is going up right now. Right? Everyone wants to join the cult, to read the next book. Why? Where it's been sitting there for 2 years. Why do you want to read it now? Because everyone's reading it, right? Cult members need to belong. They need to bow to the meme of the day. I'm with it. I'm a good cult member. I saw everyone was reading it. That person said so. That person said so. I bought the book. Right? Everyone around me was reading it. So I read it. It's that simple. That's all a cult member needs to know and needs to do. And all you need to do to be part of the cult is to become part of the cult. And then all the members will subscribe, will pay homage as long as you're in favor, right, with whoever's the shape, the figurehead of the cult. They're the top TV host, right? So if you're in that vein, if you are consistent with their narrative, because the top cult leaders, they never recommend dissenting voices, right? You never have the president or the book club or the this or the politician or whatever saying, you know what? It was so refreshing. I came across this book, this person nobody ever heard of, and read it. Everything they said seemed reasonable, and they completely threw water over every one of my ideas. My idea on this was too simplistic. My idea on that lacked this bit of evidence, and they showed the fact, and I was wrong, right? And, you should all listen to this completely new way of thinking and feeling that shows all of my mistakes. You see, they never do that. They have endless amounts of defenses against such facts and such data. Like, nobody's ever heard of them. That's why you shouldn't, right? But we've already established that if nobody has ever heard of them, it's more likely that they have an exceptional idea than if everyone's heard of them, right? It's more likely. Precisely because the best ideas always have and always will be represented by a small minority of people. In other words, if someone says nobody has ever heard of them, your eyes should lift up and say this is either a really dumb idea or a really good idea, because nobody's ever heard of them. It's a new idea. It's a new technology. That's what an idea is. That's what a new gadget is, right? No one's ever heard of the iPod. That's because it's new. Now that everyone's heard of it, it's no longer cutting edge, right? Who wants to wear 2 devices, right, when you could have one, right? So no one ever heard of it. It was new. Now it's old. And there's a new thing that no one's ever heard of that you don't know about. But you're not going to know about it before everyone else does, unless you spend time with a small minority of ideas, thoughts that no one's ever heard of. But whatever the system is, there's a remainder, there's a flaw. And we don't like complex systems that would be very efficient. Like, computers are incredibly efficient, and they're very, 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 very complicated, right? 16 gigabytes of data in RAM only to navigate some of the problems. I just want to press this, but so many things have to happen to figure out at this time of day and in this time of day this will happen or that will happen, right? That's a complex system. We like simple systems. And simple systems mean simple thinking, and simple thinking means difficulty, right? If I can manage a 5-point number system, and that's the system, and that's defining the flow of energy, well then, if I'm here, I can go here, or I can go here. So I can go here and say, okay, I want to get there, so I'll go there and there. If I go there, there, and there, so I have to go there and there, right? That's about what I can manage with a 5-point system of thought, right? I have my categories, my lists, my spiritual time, my me time, my this time. Which one does this go into, right? Well, there's an infinite number of categories. Yeah, but I don't want to think about that. I want this to be either a spiritual thing or a educational thing. But you're learning something. Spiritual learning, not no. That's work education, that's spiritual education. So which is it? Because I have to spend an hour a day. That's my system. My hour a day is on this and my hour a day is on that. Why? Why not an hour and 1 minute? Well, it's not my system, right? I don't want to think about it. So I have to have a routine. A routine is that which you don't think about. That's what makes it a routine. That's what makes it a habit. That's what puts you to sleep. I don't think about it. I just do it. I just do it. I take the trash out on this, I do this, and that's the routine. I don't think about it. I'm not even aware of it. I just do it. The alarm goes off, I do this, I don't think about it. I just get up and I don't think, do I want to get up and run today? I don't think, do I have any great, brilliant ideas worthy of Einstein at 5 a.m.? I think, time to run. And then it's time to do this. Then it's time to do this. Then it's time to do that. It's time to do this. Time to do that. And then repeat. And just go through the pattern, right? That's a cult. It's a cult of one if you've designed that system carefully. It's a cult of 50, 100, 1,000 if it's a cult, company cult design. But you don't need to think, and that's the benefit of these systems. That's why we don't just wake up without language, right? But whether you divide the 1 into 10, whether you divide it into 27, whether you divide the day into 12 or you divide the day into 14, whether you divide the body into 5 pieces or 3 pieces, heart, mind, and body, right? Heart, mind, and body. They're not disconnected, by the way, right? Put yourself into a coma and try to think. Or numb your body and try to have feelings, right? If the body isn't producing the chemicals that produce the feelings in response to the thoughts, how do you have the feelings that you're aware of? If you didn't, you see, if you weren't told that putting a plate in your mouth was dumb, how do you know not to feel proud, right? Because there are entire cults that cut a hole in the lip and put plates in their mouth. And the bigger the plate, the more prestigious, the more your development in the cult, right? So if you want to have really high rank, you need a big plate, which means you need to spend every time in your days pulling your tendons and, every day a little bit bigger plate. It's a hard job, right? But you got to do it. If you want to have rank in your cult, every day you have to earn a little bit more money. If you have to do it, get rank in your cult. You're a monk, right? You have to sit for longer than anyone else, doing absolutely nothing, emptying your mind, right? You're a student in a cult, so you have to think more, faster, get done faster than the students. Otherwise, you don't advance in your cult, right? Go to this cult, think less, transcend your thoughts, sit and do nothing longer than other people. Go to this cult, get it done faster, think faster, be creative, get outside the box. Doesn't matter what your cult is. There's a direction of advancement, whether it's the size of the plate in your lip, or the amount of tattoos on your body, or the number of metal things sticking out of your ears. There's a pecking order, right? Oh, 27 piercings. I've got to hand it to you, right? I've only got 3. Look at them. They have none. Oh, what fools, right? But you, the real deal, 27 piercings, 15 tattoos, 1 on my penis, I might add. Ooh, that's pain tolerance. Got to hand it to you. Let's have a look. Well, I don't mind if I do, right? I sat here thinking absolutely nothing for 3 days. Oh, child's play. The monk up in the tower there. Oh, he's thought nothing for 27 years. He hasn't even left the tower. You think, what, 3 days you've thought nothing? Oh my goodness, right? You thought creatively out the box. Now that's the kind of person we want around here. You did what you were told, right? That's a good person, right? I told them to do that. Look at their homework. Look how thick their homework is, right? They did what they were told. On the subject they were told to think what about, right? They were supposed to do it on this subject, and I already told them what the answers were, so they were supposed to copy me, and they did it. A+ for you, right? Which cult do you want to be a member of? Because no matter what cult you join, no matter what the ranking system is, it's going to have problems. It's going to be incomplete. Because the human brain cannot grasp even a trillionth of the complexity of what is. There's reality, and then there's our dumbed down representation of reality. And we're not even dealing with our dumbed down representation of reality. We're dealing with our dumbed down representation of bits of reality that don't exist. And every time we divide the world into bits, longitude and latitude, up and down, left and right, that's the level of clarity that we have. Like if this was your screen on a TV, if each of these were a pixel, you couldn't really show a face very well. You might be able to tell who it was, but the screen would have to be much bigger than this, and that's bigger than your awareness, right? So if you've got a crude map of reality, you can, if you can see, okay, I did this, and if you want to make progress, that's the whole idea in progressive cults, is you have to make progress, probably you should go that way, and then that way, and you can probably count and figure out, okay, I'm making progress. Yesterday I walked 2 steps, now I walked 3 steps, now I walked 5 steps, I'm making progress. So you're going along. But you can't really you can't figure out something terribly, is that good? Is it bad? You talk with someone who's all about exercise and it's wonderful. You talk about someone who's all about contemplating and sitting. Well, this is not good. You only sat for 1 minute and you're walking more every day? Oh, no. You see, that was the old school. Now we're into walking meditation. Now it's good again. It's in favor, right? First, butter was terrible. Margarine was better, then margarine was terrible. And butter's back in vogue, right? That's the good fat, right? First fat was bad. Now it's good again, right? The scientific method. So, whatever the system is, it's going to be incomplete, right? It's not going to show every cell, right? This is a dull system. You get a general idea, right? Now, if you divide all the bits into bits, if you take all the words and cut them into smaller words, it's called specialization, and it starts to come into focus with more resolution, right? Now you've got 4 times the bits. You took a 1080, a 380p screen and you made it into 720p, and then you made it into 1080p, and now it's 4K, now it's 8K, right? We're talking about the resolution. How big are the bits that you look at reality? And that's determined by your language, right? Because if I say I am minorly peeved, then I am slightly irritated, then I am a little bit more irritated, then I am majorly peeved, then I am absolutely driven up the wall, right? So we've got gradations here. These are how fine is the bell curve, right, of something coming and going, right? So we've got a gradation. Well, that's how many pixels there are, right? How many colors there are. So that's how the density of consciousness is the density of language, because we can't think without a word. But the difficulty of putting all these pieces together, right? You have this wonderful piece of a landscape, right? That's all this is, right? If I sent this image to a puzzle shop, I could say, I want this image turned into a puzzle. They'd say, how many pieces you want? I'd say 1,000 pieces. You take this image, cut it into 1,000 pieces, and I will figure out how to put it back together again. And then what will you get in the end? Well, I'll get the same image I had before. It's just I had to figure out this little red leaf here. Was it for this part or this part? Where's it going to go, right? So, and then the image will reappear, right? So before we had human consciousness, before we had I, we were interconnected with this whole image, right? There was no distinction. That's a tree, that's the ground. You don't have ground without tree. You don't have tree without ground. Seems like it's all a something, right? It's not a tree and a ground. It's a something, right? And you don't have ground without sky. You don't have sky without ground, right? You can't say that's up without down. You don't have soil without leaves. So you say that's a leaf, that's soil, but the soil came from leaves being composted. So, and then the leaves came from the soil, right? If there was no soil, the leaves wouldn't be there. And if there were no leaves, the soil wouldn't be there. It doesn't seem that separate, does it, right? We're one, right? But what we do is we send reality off to the puzzle maker. Do you want 10 words, 20 words, 1,000 words, 50,000 words? See, if you take reality and divide it up into 50,000 words, which is the number of words roughly in the English language, maybe 60, maybe 100, but anyway, because we're always adding words and retiring words, and these are the words for this century, right? Seems a little arbitrary. Thus and thou was the words for 500 years ago, and what's wrong with that now? Well, now we say you and me and this and that. Why? Well, we're progressing, right? We're progressing. We just cross out thus and thou and put in me. Progress, isn't it? Progression, right? Now that's all old-fashioned. Okay, it's old-fashioned. Well, old-fashioned is bad. I see. Why? Because I said so. You got to progress, right? Don't be saying thus, right? Say and. Why? You don't get it. Oh my goodness, you don't get it. Okay, and there you go. There you go. You're a new member of the new cult, the progressive cult, right? So you've got to take reality and you have to decide how many pieces to cut it up into. 1,000, 2,000, right? You could spend an entire lifetime discussing the subatomic particles in one leaf. They're always moving faster than you can talk, so you can never catch up with them. Subatomic particles are moving so fast you can't even see them. How are you going to talk about them? Right? Well, you get in a microscope, you put them in the Large Hadron Collider, you slow it down, you show it through lead, and you can have symposiums, whole meetings, thousands of people get to discuss what's going on in one leaf for 1 microsecond. And have debates for 10 years. No, it meant this, there's probably that, this is. That's what, you can do that, right? You can discuss a leaf for eternity, right? And by the time you're done discussing it for an eternity, it has turned into soil. Now you can discuss soil for an eternity. But anyway, you send this reality off to the puzzle piece, and you send it, off for 1,000. You want a 1,000-piece puzzle, and then your job is to figure it all out again, right? You sit there, and it doesn't fit, right? Yes, it does. Just get on with it. Who cares about puzzle? No, I've got to find the way and do this and do that. And do all that, right? And you get the puzzle back, right? But just because you cut up this image into 1,000 pieces, just because you divided reality into 50,000 words, doesn't mean that it's real. You can have a puzzle piece that shows this trunk here and doesn't show this, like it's just an all-black puzzle piece. And you look at it, where's an all-black piece? It's probably one of these trunk pieces, right? You could do that, right? Cut a little piece out of this puzzle, it's all black. Oh, that's a dark color, isn't it? That's bad. Light, white, light, white, the lightiest, the whitest, the brightest. We want luminosity, right? That's good, right? Luminosity. It's good, right? It's a bad piece, right? Get rid of it. It's an omen, like it's a dark piece. These are all just cult memes, by the way. Right? I have some puzzle pieces, and they're all dark. Get rid of them. It's a bad omen, right? Well, you can't put the puzzle back together without those pieces. Well, okay, well, maybe it's a faulty puzzle, right? It's a faulty puzzle. Or you don't want the puzzle. You want the leaves. Those are, you see these nice yellow, bright colors? You want that. Oh, and this dust here, that's very white, right? We want that, right? Let's have some more dust, right? Some nice dust down here. Very good coloring. So, that's good, right? But these dark colors, right? Maybe you should transform them. Having decided that they're bad, let's redo them, right? The white trees, right? That was all the algae, algae and stuff growing on that is helping to capture dust and minerals and keep the air less dusty, all those little micro textures so that you can breathe better air. Well, why couldn't they have made white algae, right, to fit into our dogma, right, to fit into our cult, right? Why couldn't they have done that? It's like, we always want things to fit into our system, but the reality is that no system is complex enough to work, right? So we might look at this puzzle piece and say, oh, there's a very dark puzzle piece. And if the cult has said that dark is bad, and bad is bad, and you should try and get rid of it, try to avoid the bad, right? Dark is bad is bad, and you should try to avoid bad. Well, this kind of looks very dark piece here, right? Bad, that's as bad as it gets, right? It's a bad piece. Maybe we should throw it out. Maybe hide it under the carpet, right? We don't want anyone thinking we're trying to piece together a bad piece. Okay, come in the side door. Don't let anyone see you, right? I've got a reputation to protect, right? So if you delete these pieces, right, then all of this stuff up here that's fed by this trunk, right, doesn't develop. There's no tree without that trunk. And if you decide, because it's all up to you, right, you're a cult member, either a cult of one, your ego, you've got to make up ideas of how things are sliced and what should be and what shouldn't be and all that. Not that there's all that much truth to it, right? It's just stuff that you made up or lots of people made up, right? One person is a fanatic, an outlier, a deviant. But once their ideas catch hold, then it's the status quo, right? So most ideas, by the way, are wrong. We agree that, We look at the 9,999 cults that are different from us, and we all know that they didn't get it right? Plates in their mouth. Give me a break. Gathering collective food and sharing it with the people. Well, what a dumb idea, right? No, it's got to be capitalist, and you can, and tennis shoes. I mean, no, we don't want to play tennis, but they're cool, right? And cool is cool. Why not warm? No. We all agree that cool is cool. Warm isn't cool. And we got to be cool, so we have to be cool. I mean, it's self-evident to a cult member that whatever a cult is doing. And all those people, they believe, what, Shiva, Diva, Crepiola, what are they talking about, right? There's only one Jesus who came to save the world by killing himself, for our sins. Don't you get it? It's complicated, but just do what everyone else does. Sing along, wave it, and it'll all be fine, right? Just become a nice cult-carrying card member, and you'll be accepted. You can belong to the cult. We're always looking for new members to our cult. If you do things exactly the way we do things, and think the way that we think, it's wonderful. But what about that? Yeah, but they're not the real Christians. They're not, and those people, they're bad. They're bad apples, and they're just, and you start realizing, oh, I see. So war inside the Christian cults. War inside the Islamic factions, right? What are you going to do, right? They have to have meetings, and who's going to humiliate this person, do that person? It says in the book this. Yeah, but they're saying a different version of the book, and so we got to violate our book in order to stop them saying the different version, because we don't want to disintegrate. Because cults lose their panache if they disintegrate into disorganized individuals. It makes us look dumb. You said you believe that, they believe that, you believe. We look disorganized. No one's going to take our cult seriously. This is what we believe, and we all do this, and we dance in formation, and we say, oh, that's impressive. Look at the order there. Look how they organized all that. Like all those thousands of people all moving in the exact same, so impressive, right? Now that's a cult to be reckoned with. We got to get our act together. Come on, do our moves. We believe this. We don't believe that. We say this. We don't say that, right? Otherwise, we're going to be absorbed in that cult. Cult's not going to take us seriously. They're going to come over and say, join our cult. We're more organized. We've got it together over here. We look cooler, right? We look warmer, right? So if you try and overlay a dogma, a paradigm, and put the puzzle of reality back together, the first thing to understand is that all dogmas, all extremism is based on division, right? And so if this is the metaphor for reality, the dogma dictates, the cult dictates, the paradigm dictates that some part of this image is good, desirable, Maybe it focuses on color. So then, are these the good colors or the bad colors? If you're doing shadow work, you go to a shadow workshop, right? Because that's one of the paradigms. Jung and Bradshaw and some of the other psychologists of the time, Woodman, Bly, the shadow. Hillman, you have to work on the shadow, the denied parts of self, and you have to bring it back into the image, right? Kind of makes sense, right? Because if you're in a cult that doesn't like black, and you've hidden and cut up into pieces all of the trunk of this tree for the crime of being the blackest part of this image, although we got all these ones back here, we have to systematically cut all these up. We're going to cut up and cut up. You're trying to put these pieces together. You don't want to be caught carrying the bag. Now, the bag is that which holds the parts that the cult doesn't like to look at, right? Cults are not scientific, by the way. You can't have a scientific cult, right? Because the data disintegrates dogma, including scientific dogma, right? It's all about in a test tube. If it's not in a test tube, well, are you in a test tube with all your spouting? No, I'm not in a test tube, but I'm talking about things that are in test tubes. But you're not in a test tube. Could your dogma be replicated? If we put you in a test tube, right? This is the Big Bang, and it came out of, but that's not in a test tube. Well, whatever I say should be in a test tube, and whatever I say shouldn't be in a test tube, shouldn't be in a test tube. And I guarantee it, right? If we replicated me, No, I don't think we do. This scientist says this, and that scientist says, well, they're all wrong. Those scientists don't know what they're talking about. This is the real scientific method, right? Yeah, but they say the same thing. That they're using the real scientific method. Yeah, but they're wrong. Because I said so, right? You can't put all that in a test tube and replicate it, right? Or rather, you can, right? You can take 8 billion people and find that they tend to have disparate views based on disparate perspectives, on disparate portions of all that is, right? You can actually predict that that will happen. Every single time you produce 8 billion peoples living 8 billion lives, using different languages and different ideas, you can absolutely guarantee in a test tube that they will all come out seeing things slightly differently. Every time, right? But you have the real way, right? Just like our cult is the only right cult. Every cult in history has told its members that it's the only way to do things. And 99% of them are now dead. 99% of all cults are dead. And they told their members up to the very last moment, if we could just get back to the sacred land, if we could just find the healing plant, if we could just get Viva, that's the god of thunder in one of these cults, Viva, if we could just get Viva to accept our sacrifice, we killed this infant, we killed that infant. Viva's just not, Viva's angry, right? We didn't kill the infants fast enough. I told you we should have killed them last year. Nobody listened to me. Viva is angry, right? That cult died, right? Then nobody believes in Viva anymore because their language is dead. But now the Lord, right? We've got a new language. The Lord is angry. That's why homosexuals, that's why. And he was angry at the heterosexuals for not killing the homosexuals fast enough, right? We had our chance, could have just wiped them out. But you didn't do it. No. See, now you're being punished. Now you've got AIDS too, right? Because you didn't kill the homosexuals in time. Yeah, no, I know we're not supposed to kill people, but that's the good people who aren't supposed to be killed. Those aren't people, right? Right? You think God's burning them alive in eternity wants this? No. So we've got a new cult, right? New cult, a new language. And these things are bad. Those are dark thoughts. Dark thoughts. The wrong way. You're doing it the wrong way, right? Every cult in history will tell you that you're doing it the wrong way if you do it different from the cult. Right? There hasn't been a single cult in history that says we're doing it all wrong. Don't copy us. We don't know what we're doing. We're doing it all wrong. Our language is wrong. All of our ideas are messed up. It's pointless, right? 99% of all cults are extinct. What do we know? The next billion years, you think people will look back at us and think, wow, that was really, really profound, right? They thought that white skin was good and black skin was this. You really think people are going to look back a billion years from now and say, wow, that, if we could just go back to talk show radio, we'd all our problems would just vanish, right? We could just have a democracy of ignorant people. Oh, all our problems would just go away. All we have to do. You seem a bit too smart. Go to school and be dumb. That's what they did back in the 20th century. You see, they were too smart, so they sent their kids to practice and learn this and learn that and study algebra, doctored history. It's wonderful, right? Most of them came out dumb, right? You just have to, if we already know how to do it, right? You take them, you take all the kids, you send them off to buildings separate from life. Well, this is life, yeah, but these buildings are separate from life, right? If you took them into life, jobs and therapy sessions and political back rooms, they might learn about life. Can't have that. Now send them to buildings separate, bust them off, right? And put them in rooms where reality isn't happening, right? To study books about reality. Then they'll come out dumb. And then those people should vote for other people to represent them. And those people should make the decisions. And then the people who voted for them should defend whatever they decide at all costs. That's what we should do. That's how we should run our cult, right? Just go back to the 20th century, back to the 21st century. I mean, this endless amounts of hours spent doing absolutely nothing. Getting absolutely nowhere. We already know the recipe, right? We just copy this and do this and do this. It's trying to arrest and imprison 1 or 2% of the population. It's always a good number. Pay vast sums of public money to ensure that they come out more like what the cult is complaining about than before they went in, after vast amounts of money, right? Because that's an important part of the recipe. Like, how do you destroy a people or a cult if you don't spend large amounts of energy doing stupid things? If you just spend a little bit of energy doing stupid things, it's not as destructive. I mean, heaven help us, they might have continued to evolve, right? And become more like what we'll look at, 1 billion years from now. Every single thing that we're doing today is going to be laughable even 1 million years from now, even 20,000 years from now, right? 1 billion, 1 trillion years. You see, life's got time. And life discards 99.9% of all of its patterns because they're just iterative steps in the right direction. If we try and reassemble this image according to the dogma of political correctness, because politics isn't real, politics takes the one, divides it into two, and says this is the good thing and that's the bad thing. And that's a very simple way of looking at things. But life is not simple. Life is incredibly complex. Every part of life is somewhat unique, right? So, if these colors are good colors and these colors are bad colors, but these colors wouldn't exist without these colors, you can't really put the puzzle back together without embracing every piece of the puzzle. And reality doesn't work without all of its bits. And all of the bits are part of one ecology. They always have been, they always will be. It's only language that pretends that they're separate. I can pretend that this word is separate from this word. I can pretend that, but it is a lie. I can pretend it, but it is a lie, right? These leaves are linked to these trunks. This trunk is linked to this soil. They're both linked to the sky. They're both linked to the water that falls out of the sky. The leaves evaporate water into the sky through the leaves, which then condensates and rains down again, right? There is no separate individual. There is no bad seed. It's all part of life, right? It's all part of reality. We can cut the puzzle, we can cut the one into 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000,000, 10,000,000,000,000, 10,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 pieces. And the more pieces we cut reality down into, the more work we have to put it back together again. Right? If we cut the puzzle into 2 pieces, we just put the 2 pieces next to each other and reality is whole again. It's very simple. Very easy to put the puzzle back together again. We all want the kingdom. We all want the golden ball. We all want to go home. We all want to find ourselves. And yet the one and the consciousness of the one exists beyond words. The one that we are seeking cannot be found by cutting it into pieces. It can be found by transcending the pieces. And here's how we come into the self, right? If I want to find the self, if I want to find the one that sees the reality, that sees the unpolluted whole, the unbutchered synergy of all of it, we have to transcend words. We have to move beyond language, mathematical and verbal. We have to let go of the knives that cut the one into pieces. In breath, the cycle, it's a circle. It's not breathing in and breathing out. It's going around. It's a relay of energy. It's a relationship. Every breath connects us to all that is. Because every tree that produces the oxygen we breathe is connected to all that is. We will not find unity, totality, wholeness in a test tube. We will not find the divine, which is the synergy, the consciousness that permeates all that is beyond language. We will not find that in the language of decimals and pieces. So human consciousness, the consciousness of the ego, the identity, the pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being, that is often a microcosm of the cult in which we are born. Because the family is a microcosm of the cult, and the family member is a microcosm of the family. And the identity, the pattern of the family, is defined in the pattern of thought, the pattern of speech, the pattern of feeling, the pattern of doing, the pattern of being, right? Physiology copies a lot of the patterns in a family. The mental landscape copies a lot of the patterns, sometimes in sympathy, sometimes in antipathy, sometimes in sympathy, antipathy, synthesis. The origins. I had this experience. I didn't like it, so I developed this one. The origins lead back to the family pattern, lead back to the cult pattern. Right? And every cult is a synergy and a derivative of other cults that came before. Every species is a synergy and derivative of other species of energy patterns that came before. You have an evolution of energy in form, an evolution of the form. We've now evolved this self-referential consciousness resting on the foundation of language, resting on the foundation of knives. Because every word makes a false promise that that which it is indicating is distinct from everything else, but it does not remind us of its innate interconnectivity with the undifferentiated ecology, with the infinite possibility field. The possibility field is infinite and it is one. As soon as we take a possibility field into language, it is infinite, right? Take it out of language, it is. It is. What is, right? We're going above language. We all want to find the golden kingdom, the land of plenty, the whole. And it's been with us the whole time in the consciousness that transcends words, in the breath that takes us into that consciousness. I've completed a circle, a cycle. That's what reality is. Energy in patterns. Every pattern is a cycle. Every cycle is connected to every other cycle, directly or indirectly, in multiple ways. The gravitational constant connects this pinky with a piece of dust on Mars. The ability to perceive light here and the ability to perceive light waves on a photograph of Mars again connects light between this planet and Mars and my eyes. Language, your ability to understand English, my ability to speak it, connects both of us. The fact that we are connected means that I'm indirectly connected to every other person you're connected with. Thought. Alpha Centauri, necklace, there's a connection through thought. Atoms. Atoms in the necklace, atoms in the sun, connection through atoms. Sun, sending energy, light in all direction, radiating in all direction, has touched millions of light years of patterns. And by connecting with the sun, there is a connection with all that light radiating out. There are so many threads that tie us together. But even the most exquisite language cannot put the puzzle back in all of its dimensions, from all of its perspectives, in all of its totality. There isn't enough time, there isn't enough space for an I with identity, a pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being, to traverse all of the reality it belongs to. We are a small, focused flashlight, a few millimeters in diameter, turning our attention in a very small area of space-time through a lens of division and language that isn't real.